Oh, it's about to start. You ready?
Ready?
You got the popcorn?
Buttered.
Nachos?
Cheesed.
Root beer with a red licorice straw?
Right here.
Hey, maybe it's time we start the podcast. Good idea, Sumo. But first we need a trailer. Oh, Clarence, can you do the trailer guy voice?
Let me give it a shot. In a world.
Thank you.
All right.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ready to Start the Podcast, the 77th most popular animated-related podcast on Twitch.tv.
77. Yeah, we're top 100.
We did
It's
it.
the 71st.
We got a guest today. Who's our special guest?
Wait, am I being
Yeah,
am I supposed to introduce
No, it's
myself?
me. It's me. Seep. We got Seep on the podcast finally. That's right. I'm here. I have like 70,000 subscribers on YouTube.
No, it is you, Spencer. Don't worry.
Yes. No, it's Spencer. You're our special guest. That's you.
Hello, hi, I'm Spencer. Thanks for having me.
All right. That was awesome.
Well,
and-
let him explain what he does. What he's
sorry.
done. Yeah, you get to tell us a little about yourself.
Tell us everything.
Sure, yeah. So I'm a cartoon person. I do writing and voices and a little bit of everything. And I worked on Clarence. That's like the main thing that you might know me from. Is I was the head writer and voice of Clarence.
Heard.
And more recently I worked on Victor and Valentino. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I do voice stuff and writing stuff, and I love cartoons, and yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Oh well, thanks for coming, everyone. The show's over. Who's ever doing the Spencer Rothbell voice is doing a great impression.
Thanks, I've been practicing.
Okay, so this is our. What do we do on this show? It's like a cartoon news show, right?
Yeah, there wasn't much
Yeah.
news this week.
What's the breaking news?
There was like none this week, so I figured this would be a fun one to more. Just to talk about some things, Let me.
Let's
talk
put the
about,
pressure on you. Talk about something, Spencer. Think of something right now.
All right, what's going on? We got the negotiations, Animation Guild. I'm excited
that's
about
true.
that.
Great, how's that going?
Seen a lot of traction, a lot of news things popping up about it. Makes me happy. I
Mhm.
feel like when you work in animation, you're like, does the rest of the world care about us at all ever? Like, does anyone care? So it's cool to see some pretty major news sources talking about it. So that's
Mhm.
exciting. I don't know what else is going on in the animation world.
Well, hold on. There's something related to animation. Can we expect Clarence to make an appearance in Multiverses, the hit fighting game?
What is that? Wait, is that is Cartoon Network doing one now?
Did you not see the Warner Bros is doing a fighting game, and Garnet and Steven and
I
Finn and
saw
Jake are in
that.
it? Yeah.
I doubt it. I mean, I feel like whenever anything like that happens, it's always those shows. It's always Adventure Time and Steven Universe, because those are like the most successful ones. And then
Yeah.
I would be very. I mean, if Clarence is going to be in it, no one's talked to me about it, but there's always a chance they could just use audio from episodes and clip it together. Like, I know there was some game Cartoon Network made a long time ago that had Clarence.
Yeah,
in
it was.
that I didn't do a voice again, but it was like that where they use clips.
I know what it's called. It's on the tip of my tongue. I know what you're talking about.
It was that
It's
one
like
beat 'em up.
DN Fighters or something. I don't know.
It's
Yeah,
Cartoon,
not beat 'em up.
it's
Not
Cartoon Network Battle Crashers.
That's it. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. We did do a mobile game that was like sort of based on the game from Breen Ho. That was pretty cool. And I did do voices in that, but that's it. I didn't do it in the one we just mentioned. Battle Crashers.
Well, did a really good job not breaking NDA there, but I think we all know what's brewing with Multiverses. So I'm really excited for that.
I can't wait to hear Clarence say friendship power.
Yeah. I can't wait. If I can't wait
It's
for
his catchphrase.
No, it's like that's what Steven says in the game, and people are like, it sounds goofy.
Because Steven's, they got everyone's voice actors back for that except Steven's voice actor because he's like on break from voice acting. So they got someone else in, and it sounds off, and he's saying a line as goofy as friendship power. It sounds silly.
So they got
Yeah.
someone to do like an impression kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm looking at the chat. Someone said, "How was it meeting Brendan Small?"
Yeah.
It was cool.
Oh, yeah.
I love home movies. So we did one of the last episodes of the show. We did, I think the last one we recorded maybe was an all like improvised dialogue episode.
That's one of my favorite episodes you guys did. I think it's really funny.
Yeah.
That one was so fun. I really enjoyed doing it a lot. And yeah, Brendan Small was awesome. I mean, he's really good at it, at the improv dialogue stuff. So it was cool to have him there. And yeah, it was like Jeff, Sumo, Clarence, and then him. And then I think Katie Crown came in and did a little bit too. But yeah, it was mostly just like the four of us, like me and Tom Kenny and Sean and Brendan Small. It was awesome. I'm a huge fan of home movies, so
Yeah.
that was like really cool for me
and
to
was
be able
like,
to do.
and like, have you ever done like improv before? Like a lot of improv stuff?
Yeah, I mean, well, before Clarence, I did some like UCB and Second City improv stuff, and then on Clarence, we improvised a ton. Like in the record, like we would always try to cast people that were comfortable doing improv, or like maybe had an improv comedy background or whatever. Because yeah, I mean, we would always do takes where it's we would do cast records as much as we could too, which is like trying to get as much as the cast in there together as possible. Like a lot of shows will just record everyone separately, so it was very much like a show where we tried to have improv be part of the show because I mean hopefully it shows, but like we tried to have the dialogue feel organic and just the kids talking to have them sound like how kids actually sound when they talk, as opposed to like very overly kind of smoothed out dialogue. Like especially with Clarence, like really clunky bad grammar was we would do that on purpose.
I love the way Clarence speaks. I feel like he doesn't know what he's talking about half the time, but he says it with like incredible confidence. I feel like
yeah,
it's perfect.
Yeah, anytime we would have like typos and things, like sometimes I would try to just read it as the typo and see if it sounded funny, or just any kind of weird stuttering and grammar things, and just anything that made it sound like people actually talking to each other instead of like characters reading jokes, which a lot of shows kind of, I feel like it's like a different kind of show.
Yeah.
Here's do you have any particular favorite episodes you worked on the show?
Yeah, and that's hard to say. I mean, that one we just mentioned was really fun. I really like Puddle Eyes is like one of my favorite ones. That was like one that I wrote early on, and like I just thought it was so weird and funny and specific and stupid in a way that makes me happy. Let me think. I just liked when. Oh, I love Balance. I'm also the voice of Balance.
Oh yes,
I
the
love
voice of Balance.
Yeah.
Can you do Balance? Are you allowed to?
Yeah, I'm allowed. Who cares? Who's gonna stop me?
If he does Balance, the Cartoon Network will come and find him.
What do I say is Balance? Sweeter than a peach.
Or something like that. I gotta think of some weird balanceisms. That was fun writing that. The weird like fake old timey sayings and stuff.
Where did the idea for Balance even come from? I want to. No.
The idea, honestly, it came from I think it was me and Nelson Bowles who worked on the show. Nelson, Belson Knowles. But yeah, he and I were just talking about like creating like kind of a like a bizarro version of Clarence. And then like if you notice like the design, I think the design came first, where it's all of Clarence's design elements but like flipped, so like the nose is going the other way, and like the like hair, whatever those lumps are, they're flipped over. And then we just kept doing that voice, and then just I don't know, the character just started forming, and then it was this thing where we were just like, I feel like that episode is completely off show in this way that's really funny to me, where it suddenly there's like this weird character that can like hypnotize people and it is like telekinetic or something, and I don't know, it just came from us wanting like this weird messed up character in our world and like to see what that would be like. I don't know. It's just like one of those things that's like I think like my favorite moments on that show were when it felt like when you're just with your friends and you're making each other laugh with like weird inside jokes and you're like, well, can we actually do that? Like, is this allowed? You know? And that's very much how Balance feels to me. Where I remember us making it and being like, is everyone gonna hate this? Like, I feel like there's a certain type of person that like loves Clarence because it's like very sweet and like very grounded in reality and like nostalgic, and I feel like Balance is very much not that at all. It's like kind of like the opposite of that, but it's also very funny to me. I don't know.
Uh,
Balance.
I think.
Oh, go on.
Oh, I was just like speaking of like just like out there ideas. I feel like one of my favorites is you've talked about this, but it was never made. The ghost episode. I think we talk about this all the time.
Oh, it's
on
one
the
of my
show.
favorite
Yeah,
stories.
Clarence. That was one that we wrote. We wrote it was early on. We wrote a bunch of premises, and we were submitting them. And there was one that I think we really wanted to do, but we were afraid that they wouldn't let us do it. So then we created that other premise as like a fake out of like, oh well, this one's really bad, so they'll say no to that one, and then we can do the one that we actually want to do. And then that was called Clarence the Friendly Ghost. And that literally just came from us being like, oh, his character design like kind of looks like Casper the Friendly Ghost. And we're like, well, what if there's the one where he like dies and becomes a ghost? And this was really early on in the show. I want to say like first half of season 1, and it felt so shark jumpy in this way where we're like, it was like based on kind of a real story where when I was a kid I fell out of a treehouse and I like hit my head on a rock, and we're like, well, let's have Clarence do that, but then he like dies and becomes a ghost. And like one version of it that we were thinking was like, let's make it like really serious and morbid where like all the characters are so sad that Clarence died, but Clarence himself, he doesn't get it that he's dead, and he's just having fun flying around and like pranking people and like haunting them. And then we were like, and they actually loved it. Like I don't think we like pitched this far into it, but they were like, oh, this is awesome. Yeah, I love it. You guys should do it. And then we were like, this is too soon in the show to like, this is way before we did something like Balance, which I think is like sort of on par with like just doing weird nonsense that like is very off show. But at that point it was so early on, we're like, yeah, let's not do that. Let's scrap this. This is bad.
See, you're
And
much...
especially if it was that version of it that I was describing, like I don't think they would have gone for it. It would have had to been like it was all a dream and he wakes up and it was, whatever.
You're much stronger than me, because if I was in charge, I would be like, this is stupid. I'm gonna do it anyway, and everyone's gonna hate it. But it would just be funny to me. I feel like there's a few cartoons that just have episodes like, would it be scary if this happened? Like that Powerpuff Girls episode where they go so forward in time and everyone's like just destroyed and like dying and like horrible. Yeah. That's like the entire episode.
It's like the thing longer. It's like the what if machine. Like
right.
A man can dream,
Yeah.
That's what it would have been like if I invented.
I don't understand half of what the chat is saying. Someone said something about Arlo. Is that about my friend Arlo who works on Clarence?
No.
Or is that
Wait,
different
you're
Arlo?
friends with Arlo?
The puppet?
Arlo's a puppet that we talk about.
He's not a puppet.
Okay.
Don't call him
Never
that.
mind.
Don't call him a puppet. Arlo, he's a YouTuber. He's like a gaming YouTuber. And he said, "Oh, you know what? I'm gonna bring him out here. Hold on."
Oh, I see. He looks a little bit like Cookie Monster mixed with Grover.
Arlo, you wanna? Yeah. Hello there, Spencer Rothbell. It's me, Arlo.
Hello.
I'm a YouTuber. I'm sorry. That's not funny. He's an actual YouTuber.
I'm out of the loop.
I know.
I don't get it.
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to embarrass myself right now.
So Balance. Oh god, you go first.
I actually want to ask, like, when, like, I remember there was like that the show had a cut scene from like an episode where it's like a reference to The Shining. Like,
yeah, so that was in Rough Riders Elementary, which was like sort of inspired by me. Like I moved around a lot as a kid, but there was one school I went to where it was like we went home from summer break or something, and then we came back, and suddenly the school had like gotten, because this is public school, so they didn't have a lot of money. Like they had gotten some kind of sponsorship, I think from like Coca-Cola. So suddenly there's like soda machines everywhere and like big Coca-Cola banners and on the signs in the gym and stuff. And like I remember as a kid feeling like kind of a little weirded out by that. Like it felt sort of sinister, like a corporate takeover. So anyway, that episode is about this sort of nightmarish thing where like Rough Riders Chicken, which is a fake kind of KFC within our show on Clarence, like takes over the school, and it's like this weird eyes wide shut sort of creepy cult thing at the end where, which was that's in the episode that didn't get cut, but there was this scene where I don't know if you remember in The Shining where it's like Shelley Duvall's character Wendy, she's running through the halls, and then it does this like intense like camera zoom on these two men in a room, and one of them is in like a weird dog costume.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So we essentially did that, but it was like the other guy, the dog costume guy, was in a chicken costume, and he's eating chicken out of the other guy's lap. But in the Shining, it's like, you know, sort of implied that he's like the dog guy's going down on the other guy. So they saw that and they were like, yeah, we can't. No, you're not gonna let you do that. So like they cut that. Even though we like made it really clear that he's eating chicken, they still were like, nah. But I think we shot ourselves in the foot because I forget at one point, I think we called it out. We had this rule after that where we're like, we can't put references in the outline. We just have to tell the board artist what it's referencing, because they would flag it like as soon as they saw like, oh, this is a reference to like an R-rated thing, or you know, because there's also in Average Jeff, the whole beginning of that is like American Psycho, and that was fine.
yeah.
But I'm sure if the outline was like in a parody of American Psycho, blah blah blah, they would have been like, no. But so that's when we learned like, okay, just do it and don't say what it is, and then you can do it. But if you call it out, then it's and you're gonna, you know, give them the rope to hang you with or whatever expressions.
And like how many more things you were able to get away with.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of stuff like, I mean, it was always surprising to me on that show, like what sorts of things would make their kind of alarm go off and what stuff they would be like, sure, that's fine, you know, whatever. Like there's one episode where Clarence eats a bunch of eggs. And gets
That's
really
the one
sick.
I was thinking of. That's the one.
Yeah, that was another scenario where it was like, originally I think he was supposed to eat like 50 deviled eggs, and they were like, no, that's a kid could conceivably do that and get sick, and we could get sued. And then we're like, well, what if it's 500? And they're like, fine. Like they're like, if it's a cartoonish, like outlandish amount that like is hard to imitate, then it was okay. But to me, that was like even funnier that you'd be eating 500. Like so stupid.
Yeah.
So it's like it's like almost like there's this line where like once you push past it, it's okay again. Like it goes from not okay to okay again. If it just make it really, really bad, and then it's fine. You know what I mean?
Right.
That sounds like a bit he was seeing in the cartoon.
Uh-huh.
So here's, you know, if Balance is Clarence's Wario, what is Jeremy?
Right? Yeah. I don't know what Jeremy is. Is he still at the end of the Stormy sleepover?
Yeah.
Is Jeremy still in that little baby thing
Yeah,
with Balance?
Yeah, Balance is like tucking him in.
I don't know. I feel like we could have done a whole like spin-off show that's just some weird Lynchian like dream world with all these like different versions of Clarence. There's so many. There's also an episode where there's like a sort of what am I trying to think of? Like a Southern Belle archetype Clarence.
Oh,
That says I do declarance.
yeah. I know what you're talking
so
about.
bad. I do declarance. Yeah, that.
I'm
I feel like we got to a point where we just kept making different Clarences, and it was like, I think we got to a moment in the show where we're like, we can't do any more of these. Like, there's too many. Because there's also one where there's one where Clarence becomes like Clary, which is like kind of like a Steve Urkel, Bart Simpson sitcom Clarence.
uh-huh.
I mean,
And then there's
Sonic.
sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say if Sonic can do it, then Clarence can.
Yeah, you could have multiple Sonics, you could have multiple
Right.
Clarences.
Into the Clarence verse. Someone said, how was it like doing the home movies reference? I loved it. I love home movies. It was like a dream come true. It made me really happy. And I think home movies, that show really was an influence, at least for me, in terms of thinking about Clarence. Like kids hanging out, making their own fun, and yeah, I think there's some kind of similarities there with Clarence.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any particular favorite character on the show, like you enjoyed writing the most?
Writing the most. I mean, Balance for sure. Writing that first Balance episode was really fun. Just thinking of all those weird like sayings that like plausibly sound like they could be some weird folksy kind of colloquialism, but just mean nothing. Just that's just nonsense, and like sort of vaguely sinister sounding. And yeah, he's such a weird, creepy, scary character. I think it was also playing that character was fun after playing so many Clarence episodes because he's so sweet and bubbly. Like to play like a weird, creepy, evil Clarence.
I like Percy.
Percy's great. Speaking of Sonic the Hedgehog, Roger Craig Smith is the voice of Percy.
Roger Craig
as well
Smith,
as Belson.
Roger Craig Smith is like a really funny voice actor because he plays such an iconic character with Sonic, but he plays like tons of like I want to say like bit roles too. Like I think he plays 70% of characters in regular show. So watching regular shows, it's like, oh, there's Roger.
Right, he'll just pop up. He's awesome. Yeah. He's so funny. I'm trying to think of other Clarence characters. I love Camden. Camden's the one with the weird cheeks.
Who I also do the voice of Camden. Oh, sure, yes. Double birthday. Ooh, okay.
Which is just, a bad droopy impression or whatever, Boo Boo Bear.
That's one of my favorite voices on the show. Like I love talking.
I also ripped off Mr. Burns, where when Mr. Burns does the like weak throw, like I always thought that sound was so funny. Like so I would steal that for Camden.
Let's all talk like Camden for the rest of the show.
Oh, okay. Sure, no, you go. I'm sorry. No, you go.
I don't want to interrupt.
Like, hold on. I have a question from my mom. Excuse me. Yes. Okay. My mom wants to know, are there other characters that make you feel like Clarence makes other people feel? Like, just characters that make you happy. Because Clarence has such a positive impact on
just
people.
Like in media, in anything?
You're supposed to do the voice. I'm kidding. We can stop.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Excuse me. I didn't know. Oh.
Wait. But do you mean in anything? Like from anything?
Yeah, just in anything, and like maybe like you kind of put that into Clarence. Writing the show.
Like an influential thing like that?
Yeah, sort of like.
Yeah. I don't know. E.T. and Gumby and I don't know.
That's a good spread of characters there.
E.T. and Gumby.
I mean, they make me personally feel happy. I don't know specifically about Clarence. I don't know.
Did you ever do an E.T. thing? You did, right? Was there like an E.T. joke?
We did an episode, like a kind of like a. Oh, there's one that's called Attack the Block Party, which was about aliens. Okay. And there's like a guy that kind of looks. Oh, there's like weird Mac and Me aliens in that, right? Like they're watching a movie, and in the beginning, there's like weird Mac and Me characters that sound. I think kind of have a Kermit voice or something, like, right?
That's the one where they go to the party and there's just those weird looking teens.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there's like the teens that they kind of think. There's like a guy with gauges that they think is an alien because it's like similar to the design in the movie they were watching.
Right.
I also do Mavis. Which I was surprised to find out. I watched like a clip of a dub, I think in Spanish or Japanese, but that she like speaks in full sentences in other countries. So I'm curious like what she's saying because in on the American version of Clarence she doesn't actually say words. So
what is the forbidden Mavis lore that only exists in different languages?
Right, yeah. I mean, I guess they have to rewrite the jokes to make sense. Like
Mhm.
some jokes just don't carry over in other languages. So
It's always interesting to me, like certain things that will be changed in like international versions. Like,
right.
one example I'm thinking of for like Phineas and Ferb,
Hmm.
you know, like Perry the Platypus, he makes that little noise. He was like, does that sound?
Hmm.
Do you know? Um, but in like other countries, like it's just like a noise, but they like make it different in other countries.
Oh, that's kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's-
I was thinking of like stuff that got cut in other countries too. Like I remember seeing a clip from like somewhere in the Middle East that like there were certain things that they couldn't show, and there's a whole episode we did called Pig Chase that they told us they're like, yeah, this can't air at all in the Middle East because of um like Islam and the relationship to pigs, I guess. And we were like, okay, whatever. Everyone watches stuff on the internet anyway. Who cares? Like they'll find if they want to find it, they'll find it, right? Like I don't know.
The one I always think of for like getting changed in other countries is like when they say like turd or prick in regular show, they just say plank.
That's funny.
yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
I looked up Mavis and I was reminded of the Clarence Evangelion AU.
Claire Evangelion. That was a Tumblr that was done by people who worked on the crew
Yeah,
that were
yeah.
Evangelion
Yeah.
fans. And at that point, I hadn't even really seen Evangelion. I was like late to that show, and now I'm a huge fan. If I wish I had watched it then, I would have totally been into it. I would have been like, "Yes, let's do this episode."
No, I have, and I think it's hysterical.
Yeah, I love it.
It was short lived. I really appreciate what was there.
Yeah, those were great. Yeah, I remember it was like Sam King and some of the other storyboard artists and designers and stuff worked on that. It was super funny. Clarence. Yeah, it's on HBO Max. The whole series is on there. That's the
Oh
only
yeah.
place. So a lot of times, like I lately, this thing has been happening. There's two people separately that were like I met, and they're like, "Oh, I'm a huge Clarence fan. I've seen every episode." But then it turned out they watched it on Hulu, which is missing like 24, 25
Yeah.
episodes. And so then I would be like, "Oh, there's more on HBO Max," and they would go home and then they would message me and be like, "Oh my god, I can't believe there's all this Clarence I haven't seen." So for fans out there that watched on Hulu, watch it on HBO instead because there's more.
That's the thing with streamer service. I know like some of them will have more episodes than others, and sometimes be randomly missing episodes. Like I think like every single streaming release of Jimmy Neutron that doesn't have the Christmas episode ever.
So it was like a special or something, or why?
I don't know. They have like the Halloween one, but they don't have the Christmas one ever, and I don't know why.
Yeah, that stuff is so tough because like when you're on like my end of things, like we have no control over that at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like we find out when everyone else does about that stuff. So I feel like that was always frustrating when fans or people online would be like, "How come this is airing on this other day?" or why aren't they all on this streaming platform? And I would be like, "I don't know. I know as much as you do. Like I don't know. I don't know what's going on."
Yeah, I remember, especially with like, I feel like Steven Universe, people got really mad with that because like, because that show had like serialized arcs in it, but like it would air so erratically.
We also made a bunch of Clarence shorts. They're like fully produced with the budget of the show, and that was something that I keep hoping will make its way to HBO Max because like a lot of people haven't seen those.
I have. I love them.
I put them on my personal Vimeo. I'm like, maybe they'll get taken down. I'll put it in the chat here too if anyone's curious.
I watched. I like the one. It's like one long shot of like Clarence and he's just going around.
Yeah, so that was done by Lindsay and Alex Small-Butera, who do Batman Spider-Man, which we were big fans of Batman Spider-Man, and they also did a bunch of special animation for us in the episode where the boys stay out late and they start like hallucinating, and all the like hallucinatory stuff was done by them, and they're awesome. And then after that they went on to do stuff for like Adventure Time, and they're the best. They have Later Alligator. Their game is really cool, and they're the coolest. Anyway,
I love when they show up and things. I can always tell it's them. Like when I watch the Clarence episode, it's like, oh, I know who this is. I know.
Yeah,
immediately.
They have such a like specific kind of humor and animation style, especially like there's one moment where he's like tumbling down a hill, which is like so Batman Spider-Man, like the way his arms and legs kind of go into his body and come back on random sides, and it
Right.
feels very much like something right out of Batman Spider-Man. That made me happy when I saw that for the first time. I was like, oh, this is awesome.
Someone in chat is asking, I'm 99% sure I know the answer to this. Do you guys work on the shows for like DVD release, or is it just the higher ups who like decide that?
So when Clarence was still in production, I remember talking with execs at Cartoon Network about a DVD set, and they basically told me that like they don't really make money anymore. Like unless the show is like a huge hit, like an Adventure Time. I think it's not really worth the cost of like producing DVDs, because they've made a couple Clarence DVDs. They really suck. They're like
They're like
12 random
Mhm.
episodes, no special features, no really bare bones. There's two of them. I bought them because I just had to buy every Clarence thing because I'm crazy and I wanted to own them. But yeah, I think your best bet at this point is HBO Max. That the whole series is on there.
Yeah.
It's HD streaming. But yeah, I think everything is just streaming now. Like I'd love like a Blu-ray set of Clarence with like I still have a folder of like a bunch of animatics and stuff like
man.
that we could put on there, and it'd be fun to do like commentary and stuff. Like, I would love it.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's unfortunately not really up to us. Like it would be cool, but I feel like there's just not like a huge market for it, especially with Clarence, which is like not the biggest show in the world either.
It is in my heart.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Someone said, "Who thought of the style of the theme song?" So that was like early on in the show. Well, so the song is by Simon Panrucker, who is one of the two composers of the show. So Simon was one, and he did like a lot of the kind of sound alike, almost like parody songs that you hear
Yes.
throughout the show.
I gotta
He's
say
super funny.
that I love the music in the show, like the one that's based on like the Toy Story song. It's like one of my
Yeah.
favorites.
I know what you're talking about. But anyway, so yeah, he did a lot of those kind of songs, and so that the style of it. Oh, and Jim Venable was the other one. He did music for the original Powerpuff Girls and stuff. So like, I would say like Jim Venable stuff was more like the score, and then Simon stuff was more like when there's a song that feels like a pop song or whatever. It was more. But they both did both. But anyway, so the style was like I remember we compiled a bunch of reference stuff and sent it to him, and like one of the songs was this Talking Heads song called Hey Now. I don't know if you know that song. It's from True Stories. But like in the movie True Stories, it's like there's all these kids and they're playing on sort of improvised instruments like pots and pans, and so we wanted to give it that feel of like a bunch of kids having fun and doing their own thing. And yeah, I love how punk the theme song is too. It's like the yelling and it's really high octane. And then what else about the theme song? Oh yeah,
There's a
it's like
longer version of it, right?
there is. Yeah. I think on his like SoundCloud or something.
Yeah, I've heard it.
That. And then yeah, the intro is like the Simpsons intro in reverse. So it starts with Clarence turning off the TV, and he goes outside. So sort of our subtle way to tell kids like, hey, go outside and play, don't watch TV. It's like I'm sure every TV exec wants to hear you say that, but somehow it made it in. And then it ends up in the clouds, like the beginning of The Simpsons has the clouds. So that's the secret to Clarence opening is reverse Simpsons. And then there's some stuff that got cut. Like there was one version where it had, I think, Amy or one of the kids like blowing a snot rocket. They made us cut that. There's like a sequence where it's all the kids pushing on either side of an ice cream truck, like sort of aggressively mobbing it, and the guy who works at the ice cream truck freaking out and like throwing them free ice cream. They made us cut that. And then the sign gag where they're switching the sign.
Yeah.
I forget what it is in the intro. It's like poop, right? It's pool and they changed it to poop or something like that.
That's about right.
But that was one where we had to pitch like a million of them before they said yes, and it was also like we were kind of bartering over like frames of like how close his hand could be to completing the word, where it was like, nope, a little lower, okay, that's fine. And also like a lot of times they do that too, where it's like how many seconds things can just appear on screen. Like the episode again where he gets sick, straight ill, and there's like one of those gross up paintings, like a Ren and Stimpy SpongeBob style, like detailed painting of Clarence's face when he's really sick, and he's got like pustules and stuff dripping, and that was one where they made us tone down the drawing, and then we had to like haggle over how many seconds it could appear on screen. That was another one I remember. But,
I know you talked about like the fart kindness episode. You had to be very specific when you could say fart or whatever.
Yeah, that was really funny because that came down to us like pitching the board. It was me and Stephen Neary, who was the third showrunner on the show. So it was like we had 3 showrunners. I was never a showrunner. I don't know why. I mean, people think I was, but I wasn't. I was just the head writer and voice of Clarence, and I helped out with a bunch of stuff. But anyway, so yeah, it was Skylar, and then it was Nelson Bowles, and then Stephen Neary, who went on to create the Fungies. But yeah, it was me and Steven and our executive at the time pitching through the storyboard and like writing down like how many times characters said the word fart, how many times there were actual farts, and then what like we'd be like, well, can we change that line to say toots, or like can we change that fart to just a sound effect of a fart? Like how many times can we say the word fart? We wanted to call the episode Fart Cactus. They wouldn't let us, so we changed to Freedom Cactus, which is a joke about freedom fries. I don't know I don't know how old you are, but if you were a '90s kid, you might remember the Bush administration's
I know about that.
calling French fries freedom fries, which I think is funny and stupid. So that's why we call it Freedom Cactus instead of Fart Cactus.
Oh. I want to ask. I was just speaking of like the sign gag that you talked about. Was that? Can you confirm if that was at all inspired by Captain Underpants?
I don't know. I think the original version of the storyboard for like the thumbnails for the intro, I know Skylar did, and then I think the cleaned up board Nelson Bowles did. So I would have to ask Nelson. I'm not sure, but I think it was just us like going through a list of like we wanted a lot of sequences of like because the whole point of the song and everything was like to make kids feel empowered, and we're like, oh, let's just have a bunch of kids like kind of being badass and like pranks and mischief and like whatever they would let us do.
A sword.
Yeah, like whatever kind of weird, crazy stuff that they would let us get away with, and that was one that felt like a relatively harmless prank of like changing a sign. So I don't know, maybe we can get away with that. But anyway, someone said,
"Oh, go on."
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say someone on Twitter asked if you had to write an episode about Clarence's non-existent dog Dennis, what would you've done?
Oh yeah, well that was like so many jokes on the show came from us just realizing that there were like one-off things that we never revisited, and so that was one where it was just a montage of gags, and one of them was like about I forget, it's like Clarence like dumping food out in a bowl or something, and it said Dennis, and so then ever since then we would just internally on the crew joke about Clarence's dog Dennis, and then it just became this thing of like, well, wouldn't it be funny if like we have the characters act like he has this dog that we've never seen and we just never will see. But a whole episode about that, I don't know, it might be kind of funny to do like sort of like how we treat Gilbin, where like you just cut to Gilbin and then cut to a character responding to Gilbin, but in this case it would just be the responses, so they're all just looking off camera at like a dog that you never see. I don't know. That might be kind of funny.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I mean, we basically did do that. We just had the chimney episode was about a dog,
and at the end the dog was Jake the whole time for Adventure Time.
Right, that would be very weird. We wanted. I told somebody about this. The Uncle Grandpa crossover we wanted to do.
Oh my god, really?
So that was in the Uncle Grandpa Steven crossover. He has a checklist of characters that he's visited, and the last one was Clarence, and he hadn't crossed it out yet. And so we like that, and we're like, oh, let's do it, let's pay it off. So the original idea for the Stormy Sleepover was about, instead of flooding, it was about a tornado approaching. And so each episode, the tornado would be getting closer and closer, and it's sort of this thing that's scaring everyone, and they all kind of learn to work together. Like they all set aside their differences and figure it out. And so at the end, the original joke was that we were going to treat it very seriously, like a natural disaster, and then the tornado would finally get close enough that they're all huddled and they don't know what's going to happen, and then it kind of Tasmanian devils out into Uncle Grandpa, and he says good morning, and that was going to be the gag, and he would tell them like that he was impersonating a tornado to teach them all a lesson about, like, learning how to get along or something. So we didn't get to do that. They didn't like it for whatever reason. They thought it was like too trolly to the audience or something, I guess, to like have them get invested in like however many episodes of story before ending that way. But I thought it was funny. I think it's just a difference of sense of humors, where like, to me as a viewer, if I was watching something and that happened, I'd be like, oh my god, that's so funny. But we did have Pete Browngardt, who's the voice of Uncle Grandpa and creator, in the final episode of the Stormy Sleepover, just as a way to still have him in there, but he does a different character. He does like he's like this weird power plant guy with a hole sticking through his head with a pipe in his head. But anyway, I thought it was a funny idea.
Yeah, would Uncle Grandpa cause like property damage?
I mean, we would have treated it like, so let's say it's 6 episodes, like the first 5, we have treated it like it's a real tornado the whole time, and it's like destroying things and scaring everyone, and they think they're gonna die. And then the last episode, he's like, good morning, and then he's like, I taught you all a lesson, and then everyone's like kind of upset because the town's ruined or whatever. It's very like Team America kind of thing, like that type of thing. Someone asked, how did you decide the voice style? I didn't. I'm not the original voice, so I just copied the original voice actor, and then slowly it morphed into my own thing, I guess, over time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you did a pretty good job. Like, I never, because you did like, it just kind of, was it a thing where like you would like mix the voices at one point as like a transition? Did that ever happen?
Yeah, it did, because what happened was we had episodes with like his version partially recorded, but then there were certain lines like we had to do retakes or whatever that we didn't get, so I went in and like voice matched. And I can't even tell. There's a couple episodes where I don't even know, because people always ask me like, when did it switch over, and I'm like, I don't know, like who knows. But I think originally, like the first few that I did, I really tried to voice match it as close as I could, and then after a while, I kind of just made it my own interpretation.
All right, that's what you got to do,
Someone said, "Well, was the budget pretty good on the show?" Yeah, there's something that we couldn't do because of budget. A lot of times it would be like if we wanted to do a special kind of animated thing. Like there's certain moments on the show where it cuts to like stop motion. And like I remember there was a time where we really wanted to like outsource it to Screen Novelties. They did like a lot, like SpongeBob Holiday Special stop motion, so they're awesome. But we just didn't we didn't have the budget, so we did it ourselves. Like a lot of the stop motion is like Stephen Neary and just other people on the show, like making stuff literally just like in our cubicle offices and making a little makeshift setup and animating it there, like totally labor of love, not part of the budget at all. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of stuff that we were just like, we want to do this crazy thing and we're going to try to make it as funny and cool as we can with what we have,
Yeah.
That's so sweet.
I was ready to say something. Sorry.
What?
I don't know. It sounded like someone's gonna talk. I was gonna say I was surprised to hear that they think people would like the Uncle Grandpa ending, because I feel like when you're a kid, and you're watching a cartoon, and a character from another cartoon shows up, you get really excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was more just that like this particular executive thought it was like, it's like, I don't know if it's a generational thing or what, but like they thought it was like very trolly and mean spirited to the audience to get them invested in this sort of slowly approaching tornado as this like sincere, scary thing, and then to kind of step on that with a joke by having it be like, oh, it's actually just it didn't matter. None of that, everything you got invested in, like, kind of didn't matter because it was just Uncle Grandpa and everything's fine. Where to me, that kind of ending is funny. Someone else might find that to be insulting. I don't know. It's kind of trolly, I guess, but I like stuff like that. Like I feel like Tim and Eric, who I like a lot. Like they always kind of do that in their comedy, where it's just sort of like acknowledging to the audience, like, hey, this is silly and this is comedy and none of it really matters, and we're just having fun. And like to me, that's fine. But I understood their perspective too, where it was like they thought it was a little, I don't know, trolly in this way that they didn't like.
Yeah, if you went through with that, I would have flipped an ice cream truck. I'd been so mad.
You know, all the neighborhood kids would have flipped the ice cream truck.
Yes.
Right. Oh, there's the Clarence one, like maybe the only Clarence toy that exists.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I've tried looking for this before because I'm interested in like having it in my home, but I feel like out of the set,
I bought one on eBay. You can probably get it on eBay. That's what I did.
That's where I'm looking. But every time I go to look, they never have Clarence. They have like 50 Uncle Grandpas and a bunch of Eds, but they never have Clarence.
Yeah, I have a little shelf of stuff, and that's on my shelf of the things that I could. Someone showed me not too long ago. I think it was like Cartoon Network Latin America or some Latin American country has Clarence themed like gag gift things where it's like fake vomit and stuff like that. That was Clarence related, and I want to get my hands on those. I don't know how, but I think there was candy too that I saw. So
I feel like
there's some cool weird Clarence merch out there, but I don't know how to find it.
I feel like they always, whenever they make like figures and stuff for like cartoons now, it's only for like the ones that are proven their popularity to like an absurd degree. Like I feel like Steven Universe didn't get like merchandise to like its mid-second season when it was like a huge thing already. So you know, there's no Clarence action figure out of the world besides this one.
I wish. I mean, I love toys. I feel like when we were on the show, like we all had a bunch of ideas for Clarence toys, and like it would have been fun. But I don't know. Oh well.
Oh, sad we never got like big Clarence fists, like big pink Hulk hands with Clarence.
Right.
Oh, they could have made Little Buddy.
They could have made the Supreme Court Squad. I would have bought them. Collect them all.
Fly them through my neighborhood.
Robo Gavel action. Come on.
Meet Robo Frog.
Yeah. Little Buddy. I don't know. Too scary.
That would break minds. And then
it would have been cool. What's that?
Do people tell you that they like Little Buddy?
Specifically that episode, or
yeah.
I think some people really do. I've seen online a lot, like Tumblr and Twitter things where people are like, "I love how this show shows like, you know, this full range of emotion with this character," and I like that episode a lot. I mean, I don't know how people feel about it.
That's the one with the Over the Garden Wall boys in the background too.
That's right. So that was because they were making that show on the same floor as us, and we would hang out and eat lunch and stuff. And they said, "Hey, we have a design from Clarence." I mean, can I spoil the end of Over the Garden? I mean, that show's been out for a while,
I think you're fine at this point.
Yeah.
Well, I won't go into it, but there's a background in like an environmental background drawing from that show that's like based on one from Clarence that sort of implies it's like shared universe, and so we wanted to do a nod to them. So we had Wirt and Greg walking through the woods, and in the background of that, where when Clarence is murdering his doll and burying it in the earth, the soil, with the cold soil with his hands.
I love the scene in Over the Garden Wall where Wirt and Greg go to Rough Riders Chicken.
Right, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Deleted scene.
Rose, do you want to say something? It sounds like.
Oh yeah, I was also gonna mention, like, didn't you also, wasn't there like also like background art used based on like something from Over the Garden Wall?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about, Rosa. Right?
Yeah. So we gave them one like kind of background of, it was like, I think it was from a shot of just like the town of Aberdale, and then they sort of modified it for their. I don't want to spoil that show. People
don't spoil it, please.
Watch the show; it's good. But anyway,
watch it on HBO Max.
They used it in their show, and then so we did a little nod to them by doing a silhouette of Bert and Greg.
You were talking about kind of the range of emotions Clarence could show in that one episode. I really like Sumo as a character because I think he's an interesting character in the realm. He's like rambunctious and wild, but I don't really think he's like stupid. I would say, and I don't. There's not a lot of like best friend wacky characters like that. I think I like that he's kind of a middle ground to like Jeff and Clarence a lot of the time. I liked that about him.
Yeah, I like Sumo. I think Sumo was a character that was like hard for us to nail down at first, and like at first he was kind of like a weird boomhauer. He's sort of like who's that character from Wild Thornberries?
Nigel? Or the
No,
little freak?
Donnie.
The little
Ronnie,
freak
is
who's
that
like,
his name?
oh!
No, Donnie.
Donnie, that's right. Yeah. So it's kind of like him a little bit. And then we sort of, I don't know, he became this other thing. Like, he has that feralness to him, but I think after Dreamboat, that was the one where we really figured out Sumo, and we're like, oh, okay, this is who he is. He's like a real kid with depth, and
I think it's very real to how a lot of kids are, where a lot of kids are wild and silly and off the walls, but they're not like dumb, you know. I think that's I think it's a fun take on a kid character. You don't see a ton.
even Clarence, like I feel like a lot of people would miss the point of Clarence as a character, where they were like, oh, he's so stupid and he loves food, and it's like, well, that's not really what he is. Like, he just talks like a kid. Like I think people are so used to seeing kids on TV that talk like adults that they forget that like that's just how kids are. Like, they're silly and he's not dumb. He's just figuring it out, you know? I don't know.
You know, maybe if Clarence is voiced by a famous Chris Pratt, he'd be more understandable.
Right. Well, he will in the movie.
In the movie, he will be.
Coming soon.
Live action
This-
Clarence movie.
This is me. Hi, I'm Clarence. You're probably wondering how I got in this mess. Well, it all started, right?
And then Spencer
Yeah.
Rothbell will appear as special cameos throughout the
Yeah,
movie.
I'll show up at like my live action. I'll be like working at the Rough Riders, and I'll be like talking like Clarence, like, "Hi, how can I help you?" And then Clarence will be like, "That guy sounded funny." Anyway, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Can I ask a question about Little Buddy? Because we were just talking about that.
Sure. Yeah.
I think, so when I first saw it, I thought it was like sort of going in a direction where like the doll would like come back for revenge, but it kind of like went in a completely different. Was that on purpose? Were you trying to like misdirect like that?
I think a little bit. Yeah, we talked about that. Where like, because everyone kept being like, "Oh, Chucky, it's like Chucky, it's like Chucky," and I was like, I feel like we've seen that so many times
Right.
of like a Chucky evil doll thing, that we were like, because really that story is like about being a kid and having no power, and adults having all the power over you, and even when you see something that feels like Clarence as a character like has a really strong sense of right and wrong and justice, and Miss Shoop puts him in timeout and forgets about him, and he misses recess, and to him that's a big deal, and for her it's like, who cares? And so I think that's really what the episode was about, was just like being a kid and feeling like you were wronged and not really having any power to do anything about it, which I think is something that hopefully kids can relate to. I mean, I just remember being a kid and being like, oh, this sucks. Like, adults can just tell me what to do all the time, and I have no agency. And like, so I think that's really what that episode's about. And then just also him just being a weird kid and like not getting that like everyone else thinks this doll is like gross and creepy, and him just thinking it's cute and like wanting to show it off, and not getting like, why doesn't anyone want to be my friend and play with my weird doll? And everyone being like, ugh, get away from me. And like, something funny about that, but also like kind of real too.
Yeah.
I've never thought about how that you're just talking about it. I feel like that kind of you can connect that to Child's Play in a way too, like because that movie was kind of like, this kid was convinced that this doll was alive, but no one believed him. So
right, and even in
yeah.
Child's Play, like you're watching it and you're kind of like, well, is this kid like, if you haven't seen it before, like, is this kid killing people, or is it actually the doll? Is he lying? Is it like a crazy psycho split personality thing, and then it's like, oh, it's just a haunted doll. It's just a man in a doll.
Yeah.
Anyway. Oh, Clown Jeff.
That's gonna be his special costume when he gets into Multiverses.
Yeah, I was looking up some of the alternate characters,
Mhm.
and like while looking up like one of the alternate Clarence, like I found an image.
I think this
It
was
just
called
says
Beth or something.
Beth. Yeah, not
There's
also like
Chumo.
the monkey.
Yeah,
Oh
the
yeah.
circus freak versions of the kids.
Oh.
Yeah, I had a whole like headcanon about Balance, that he lived in kind of like the conditions of have you ever seen the Elephant Man, the David Lynch Elephant Man movie?
I'm aware of it.
I'm
I
aware
don't
of it
think
too.
I've ever
Yeah.
seen it.
This is a weird tangent, but anyway, just that he lived in some kind of weird like turn of the century circus sort of environment like that. Anyway,
Right.
that's
Right.
it. That's it.
Yeah.
Here's a question: was there any episode that was particularly like difficult to put together? Like one standout just be like struggle to make or anything?
Yeah, well, there's one that I always think about being like frustrating to make. It was the one where Brady and Clarence get like their parents forget to pick them up
Oh,
from
the
school.
Charlie Brown.
Yeah. And like that was tough because like the big like act 3 moment when Brady like finally decides to make a decision, we kept having to rewrite that over and over again. Like originally it was like Clarence is on train tracks or his foot is stuck or something and a train is coming and it's going to hit him, and like Brady has to make a decision to save him and like push him out of the way. And then they said we couldn't do that because kids would play on the train tracks and get hurt and sue them. And so then it was going to be like, we just kept trying to think of more weird scenarios where it was like they're on a overpass and they're going to like hook a fishing rod onto a truck, and then the spool of the fishing wire like gets more and more taut, and then Brady has to like push Clarence out of the way so he doesn't get pulled away by a truck. And I think we just kept having to make it more and more and more safe, which like was tough because the whole point of the scene was that it's unsafe, right? And that he's gonna get hurt. So that was really hard, where we had to walk the line of like, okay, it's safe enough that like we can put it on TV and kids aren't gonna do it and get hurt, but it's also like dangerous feeling enough that it feels like a big turning point for this character. So I remember like writing that and that being kind of tough part.
Brady's
I mean,
one of my... Oh, sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
I'd say Brady's one of my favorite like student characters of the show because it's so specific gag. Oh, this kid's just basically Charlie Brown.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's just Charlie Brown more or less. And that's how Mavis came to be too. Was that the joke was like, Charlie Brown has a crush on the little red-haired girl, and so we wanted our Charlie Brown to have a crush on a little redhead girl, but she's just like very weird. And like why would anyone have a crush on her? She's so strange, was the original joke of Mavis, I guess.
Brady has
And
to
then
stop Clarence from
we
eating
loved her.
fucking egg.
I know, right? Only 499.
Always love how these characters look like they came out from like a little comic.
Yeah, I love how all the kids like, the design of characters on Clarence too, like they all kind of look like they could be from different shows or something in this way.
Yeah.
I always thought they looked like little like, I imagine them like being made of clay sometimes. Just how they look kind of just put together.
Yeah. Who was that
Yeah, a
one
lot
kid?
of basic geometry, circles and ovals and squares and stuff.
Who was that kid with the long neck and the nose? It has like the long.
Oh, Guyler. That's one of those shorts I sent in the chat. There's a birding with Guyler where he's bird watching.
One of my favorite shorts is it's the one with Percy and the one who doesn't. I feel dumb. I literally said this character's name earlier.
Gilvin.
Gilvin,
yeah.
Percy
That one's
Gilvin.
awesome.
It's actually, he just like shows him like, my toy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a Stephen Neary short. He wrote and boarded that himself, and it's really funny and great. And I think that was also one where, like, those shorts, even though they weren't on TV, like they're still part of the canon of the show, and like that certainly helped develop both Percy and Gilbin as like these weird characters. So
They're pretty
that's all
normal.
Stephen
You know,
Neary.
they're pretty normal in the show, but the short shows how weird they are.
Right. But then we leaned into it. Like, there's an episode with Percy where it turns into like a weird like oh gosh, who's that? Who's the guy who made all those movies like I'm blanking on his name. Troll of
George
Central
Lucas.
Park and stuff.
Oh, Don Bluth.
Yeah, the Don
What?
Bluth episode. Yeah, the Percy Don Bluth episode. Like he's
Oh
kind of
yeah.
he's like singing about killing Clarence because he's like jealous of him or something. Yeah, that was funny too because we were like, we want it to be like, instead of it going into Disney animation, we like specifically want it to go into Don Bluth animation. Which I
Right.
think that kind of says it all about Clarence to me, where it's like, yeah, we're not Disney, we're Don Bluth. Like,
I think
we're like
Clarence,
the weird off-brand Disney. Like that's what was always funny to me about Clarence was like, it's not cool. It's like weird and gross, and like it's like all the characters are like bizarre losers, and like that's what I love about Clarence.
come on, Miss Shoop is epic and awesome, and probably do a kickflip.
Oh.
I-
Also, Katie Crown, she's awesome.
She does a lot of voices on that show, right?
Yeah, she's Ms. Baker, Miss Shoop, Clarence's mom, Mary.
Mm-hmm.
She's very funny.
My friend in chat is wondering if you got to meet Tim Heidecker.
Yes, I did. Yeah. So Tim Heidecker and Greg Turkington.
Yeah, they were on the show.
Neil Hamburger. They were in an episode together, which I feel like that episode. I don't know. I like really love those guys and like look up to them. So I was like, oh, I really want it to be so funny, and like I feel like their characters are just like very normal guys. Like maybe not. Well, Tim plays a priest. That was kind of funny, but yeah, I got to meet him and Greg Turkington, and was happy that they were some small part of the show. Yeah, I mean, John Waters was on the show, which is crazy. Like,
I didn't know that.
He's in the Plane Excited episode. He plays the pilot of the airplane.
Oh.
When Chad has a fear of flying.
That's one where Clarence's grandma is dead.
Yeah, we had her show up in one episode and just be like the worst character ever, and then we're like, well, and then we're like, are we ever gonna see her come back? Because like that was Maria Bamford did her voice, and she was great. She was so funny as that character. And then we're like, what if we just sort of offhandedly mention that she's dead and like no one cares? Like just really brutally like. I think that's what's funny about the show is like so many people come up to me and they're like, it's so sweet and it's so cute, and I'm like, I feel like to me there's so many moments where I'm like, it's like so like the way that they like Claire, like I feel like it's one line of dialogue, right, where he's like, yeah, anyway, my grandma died. Like just couldn't give a shit at all, which I think is very funny that we were all just like, yeah, she's such a intense presence in that episode that we're like, let's just not bring her back. But I love Maria Bamford. She's so funny. She's great. Amy Sedaris is in an episode. She's super funny.
I think that makes
huge fan of hers.
I think it's just that Clarence just feels so sincere as a show where it can embrace both like the weird and the gross, but also I think that makes like the sweeter moments hit more because it just feels very real.
I hope so. Yeah, like I think that's the thing, that we never wanted to be one or the other. Like, I think like we never wanted it to be all just like gross out stuff or get too cynical or whatever, but we also didn't want it to be like Clarence learns a moral lesson every day, you know, like, because that we didn't want it to be too preachy, I guess is what I'm saying, or anything, or too schmaltzy in a way that felt phony and like insincere. Like, so hopefully it had a good balance of both.
A good balance.
I've heard
Someone say marriage.
I've heard Disney tends to be
Well.
a bit more like staunch about like having some sort of lesson in the episode no matter what. Which is funny because that's absolutely not the case for Cartoon Network. There's so many just like Adventure Time or Clarence episodes, which is like here's a weird thing happening.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I always thought of it as like we're like making entertainment. It's not like PBS or something. And like also like hopefully I just always like things that don't talk down to people, especially for kids. Because kids are really smart, and I think kids get it when they watch something that feels like it's talking down to them. And so I would hope that we never did that. Like we'd always try to make it like, hey, we're gonna portray a scenario, and you can kind of figure out the meaning behind it and interpret it in your own way. Like I like stuff more like that.
I think kids like to feel like they're
hitting you over the head.
They're like older and smarter than they actually are. I think they kind of like that stuff, at least in my experience.
Yeah, and kids are smarter than I think a lot of TV gives them credit for. And like, yeah, we would always try to make it feel like, like I don't know, like I might have a personal opinion about something one way or another, but I think we would always try to just portray a scenario and like have characters react to it, and then you, the viewer, can watch it and kind of figure out like how you feel about it.
Right. Yeah. That's a really good aspect of the show. I want to praise Clarence. Clarence it feels very smart. Like I don't know, it's weird. Like sometimes I see people like don't like it, like call it dumb, but like I don't think it's dumb.
Yeah, I feel like
very
it's because
dumb.
maybe they didn't really give it a chance, and I think it also has to do with the way it was advertised too. And like I think if you just watched a commercial for Clarence, you'd be like, "Oh, this show looks so stupid," like, and not really. If you don't sit and watch a few episodes and kind of let it wash over you and like understand that there's a subtext there and that it's sometimes it's satirical or whatever, it does have something to say. And I think also people confuse like silly or dumb characters with a show being silly or dumb. Like they don't get that like smart people are using the characters to say something. I don't know, the basics of satire or something. I don't know.
Whatever.
Anyway, someone said, "Oh, it wasn't lore heavy," and that's another thing too. Like, there's a lot of subtle world building.
There is, yeah,
in the show. Like, if you pay attention enough, like, there's a lot of really tiny, like, blink and you'll miss it moments that are actually turn out to be like setups that pay off. And even like in terms of like the backgrounds and props and stuff, like Clarence will open his locker and there'll be props from a different episode and stuff like that. And,
yeah.
But it's like anything. It's like you want to just be like, no, I promise. Like, sit down and really, really pay attention, and you'll like it. But
I've done that before with this specific show. I like to tell me like, no, it's really fun and sweet, and I like it a lot.
Yeah.
But it's also okay that it's not for everyone too. Like,
of course.
I understand that it's like kind of a weird show, and like I can understand why people might be like put off by it or whatever too. It's fine. Not everything's for. A lot of people love stuff that I don't care about. Like, who cares?
Right. Yeah. Can I ask? Was there what was the deal with frogs? Was there like a specific reason for that in the show? Like,
well, we had this thing called Robo Frog. And then I think that sort of was the beginning of it, where like we just started it became like an in-world franchise of like almost like Transformers, where there was like an original Robo Frog, and then there was like a new movie Robo Frog. Like we kind of were looking at like the Transformers like franchise and like doing like a thing, kind of poking fun at stuff like that, where it's like starts out as one thing and then evolves into something that doesn't even look like the original thing as much. And so that's kind of where that came from, I guess.
okay.
And also just we like frogs.
Yeah, I know in his house he has
I
a bunch
love frogs.
Of like, frog like memorabilia.
Right, yeah, like decorations. There's that one episode where they stay up late and there's a frog in that. I remember that.
Mr.
Simpsons
Junior.
of the Mud. Yeah, Mr. Junior, yeah.
No! Somebody's wanting to know, were there any guests who turned down being on the show?
I mean, I'm sure there were. Let me think about it. Turned down.
I wasn't that into the offer. I gotta be honest.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know about turned down, but like sometimes there's just certain people where like it just doesn't work out. Like maybe they're too busy, or we just like couldn't get a hold of them, or whatever.
Right.
Oh,
I don't know. And that was one of those things where like we didn't want to get too. We didn't want it to become like SNL or The Simpsons, where it's like celebrity of the week kind of thing, like guest star.
Right.
So we tried to make it more like within the category of like someone who's like maybe a
Mhm.
comedian or a funny like actor, or someone who kind of fit within our world, as opposed to like just Clarence meets Lady Gaga or whatever, like stuff that we were like, oh, this seems a little like not to be a snob about it or whatever, but it just didn't feel like it felt like it might hurt the kind of real world grounded feel of the show to have like celebrities show up a lot. I don't know.
Yeah, that's something about like The Simpsons in particular. As the show went on, every single celebrity came to Springfield, and it was like, wasn't this supposed to be like just a weird small little town they lived in?
Yeah, they were
Right.
like, it's a celebrity voice, or what was it? Or be like, oh, I
Yeah,
can
like
think of
whoever,
like
just someone who
CP.
like, yeah, like kind of flavor of the week type thing, and we just didn't want
Yeah,
it to turn into that. But yeah, I think the biggest star we got was John Waters. I mean that was pretty cool. But we were kind of like, well, we're like kids don't really care about this. Like we just care about this. So, but yeah, I don't know. Like, I remember Brent Weinbach doing a character that I thought was really solid in the Rat Tail episode. I don't know if you've seen that, but he was
Mhm.
really funny. I mean, he's just like he's a comedian that I like a lot. I feel like it was more like that kind of guest where it's like, oh, Cloris Leachman was in an episode. She was awesome.
Oh.
Um, I don't know who
I, I,
who
I
else.
I do feel like kids just do not care about celebrities and like things. Like anytime there's like
Right.
a movie based off like or a show based off like an old property, it's like obviously Chris Pratt Mario is the big example right now. It's like
Sure. Sure.
were kids not gonna see the Mario movie unless Chris Pratt was? Was anyone not gonna see the Mario movie unless Chris Pratt was in it?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it's about the parents, right? And those are the ones buying the tickets. But yeah, I mean, I love voice actors, and I think it would be cool to have movies that just have actual voice actors do the
yeah.
voices. But I don't know if we'll ever see that day. Hopefully.
Peanuts movie was one of the few I could think of recently that only had like kids voice all the characters and not like any celebrities come in. But that was
Right?
neat.
Yeah. Which
Mhm.
is cool. I mean, that's like a callback to the original, right?
I was watching another movie that makes me think of this. I was watching like the Simpsons movie recently, and I realized like, ironic. We were talking about how the Simpsons has a lot of celebrities, but
Mm.
it's kind of funny how like the movie was kind of reserved in that regard. Like,
Yeah, there's like one Tom Hanks cameo or something.
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? There's like
And
Tom
like,
Hanks in Green Day, I
Right.
think,
And
which
there's
is
celebrities that voice characters, but they're not playing
Oh yeah,
themselves. So
like Mr.
at least
DeVito.
that's right. Yeah.
mhm.
I really like the Simpsons movie. I thought it was pretty solid,
Yeah, I like it.
especially for coming out like as far into the show as it did.
Right.
I've talked about this before. I feel like making that movie must have been so stressful because it was going to be the movie for like the biggest show in the world.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. I think to ride on this Simpsons tangent again, I have a theory. I came up with this like a fan theory for
Okay.
Clarence.
Oh
Do,
yeah.
do you get a lot of those, Spencer?
I've seen some online, but no, I'm curious.
I think I came up with the idea that Clarence's his like birth father is
Uh
is secretly Homer Simpson.
huh.
Okay.
He's like the secret love child of Homer and Mary.
Yeah. I think I came up with this just because they both kind of have, like very childlike, sort of dumb personalities, I guess you could say.
you have that
Um,
shape.
yeah, and their like silhouettes kind of look similar. Um, and I
Could
think
be.
there's a
We
few
had
other
that
things.
episode where Chad kind of turns into Homer for a
That's
second.
Right,
right.
yeah.
That was a hint. That was a hint at it, wasn't it? You were
Right.
That was a subtle hint.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about this before, but like as far as Clarence's like biological dad goes, I was always like of the mind that like we should never really reveal who it is because it sort of undermines the idea that like different types of families are okay, and like Jeff has two moms and that's okay, and Sumo has like a very crowded family and they live in a trailer,
That,
and
that
Clarence has a mom with like a boyfriend, and I always felt like, you know, because people would ask that a lot of like, when are we gonna
Right.
get to meet Clarence's real dad? And I'm like, well, that's kind of the point. Is like you don't need a real dad in that sense. Like he has Chad and
I,
Mary, and
I,
like I always felt like it would have been kind of lame to
Yeah.
do that, you know.
I always thought it was sweet that like there was just no question that Clarence considered Chad like his father figure. I thought that was like a sweet little thing.
Yeah. And
Yeah, I
honestly,
mean,
I think
go ahead.
that probably did good for a lot of kids because I've actually never met my birth dad, but I always had like I call him my dad. Like he's technically my stepdad, but he's just my dad to me.
Mhm.
So how um, I really like how like Chad and Mary and Clarence are shown in the show.
Yeah, I mean, like even having like Jeff have lesbian moms, like there. I don't know if we were the first kid show to have that, but I hadn't seen a lot of it. If we were, and even yeah, with like I have a stepdad as well, and like I feel like I don't know a lot of shows with stepdads or step parents or whatever you want to call it. Like, um, so yeah, I think that's pretty cool that we got to do that, especially like when we did. I feel like with the LGBT representation, like there's a whole lot more of it now.
Mhm.
But when Clarence came out in like 2014, there really wasn't a lot. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember it was like a huge deal, and like there's like two background characters kissed, like the two male characters.
oh yeah,
yeah.
that was such a mess. I was really naive about that, and I was like tweeting about what it used to be, and that was so stupid of me. But yeah, that was something that got changed. That was a bummer, but also a very minor moment in the show. Someone asked how we managed to get Jeff's mom's. Yeah, it was tough. It was really tough. Like you'll notice in the dinner party episode, like Jeff's parents just aren't in it, and that was because we were still pushing to get them in the show. And that's why they don't show up right away.
Mhm.
Like if you see Jeff, he's just sort of like as if he's just a child that lives alone or something. And then even when they did show up, like we had to be really careful about like certain dialogue. Like we couldn't refer to them as his moms in dialogue, and like I remember there's one line that we had to change to parents, and I was like really, honestly, I was like really mad about that and like bitter about it.
I always think of the
Um,
story Alex Hirsch told where there was going to be like a lesbian couple in an episode, and they wrote like, no, you can't have this, and then he wrote back why, and they couldn't think of a good reason back to him because there was just no good way to word
I
it.
mean, honestly, that's how it felt with Jeff's
Mm.
moms too, where it was like it was a lot of back and forth, and they were like, "Well, this is going to air in countries where it's illegal to be gay and all this stuff," and we're like, "Yeah, but like, I don't care about that." So that's bad, but isn't that bad? Like, I
Right.
don't know. There's homophobic stuff about the U.S. too. I don't like that either. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I felt like, I mean, to their credit, they let us do it eventually before anyone. Like, they took a huge risk with that because no one else was doing that, and I honestly think like Clarence, in its own little way, like contributed towards much more representation in kids media, and now it's like kind of no big deal, you know. I mean, not in a dismissive way, but I just
Mm.
mean like compared to then, it seems like it would be a lot easier to do that, you know.
Because Clarence came out, I think, right on the cusp of Steven Universe, and I think I definitely know his parents, Jeff's moms, appeared before Ruby and Sapphire did. So like that was kind of the initial one.
Yeah, yeah. We did have the first lesbian wedding. I will say, like people say not to start any beef, but the the way that it happens in our show is like a very small throwaway moment where it's like Clarence taped over their wedding tape, which is like kind of messed up. But there is like a brief like clip of Jeff's mom's getting married in an episode that
Mhm.
I think aired like within days of the Steven Universe wedding or
Oh,
something like
wow.
that. But they definitely did it in a much bigger, like more meaningful way than we did. Ours was like a joke essentially that like Clarence taped over their wedding tape. But
That's a funny episode too. I like that one where he's just taping over things.
yeah, that was fun to make. Always got to be found footage stuff with me. I feel like every show I've worked on, there's a 12 Forever episode that I wrote that has found footage stuff. There's a Victor and Valentino episode with that, like kids making back to home movies, kids making home videos, which
Oh, yeah.
me and my friends did too when I was growing up.
Mm-hmm. I hope kids are still doing that.
When I was a
They
kid,
gotta be. Everyone has a camera.
Hey, yeah, they have phones. They're making
Yeah.
TikToks.
when I
Making littlest pet shops.
they are.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I didn't make home movies. Me and my friends would grab like a tripod camera and point at the screen and play Mario Party and put it on YouTube.
There you go. Hey, that's it. You're still making stuff though. That's all
Yeah.
that matters.
Yeah. I remember I had one of my friends. The only thing I remember about it, we like filmed this news show. It was called like the Chuck and Bob Show. I don't remember anything else about it. I just remember that was the news, and we just filmed it on this camcorder we had.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I remember when my parents gave me like a cell phone with the camera on it. I decided to like do a little stop motion thing with my toys.
I definitely
Love
did a
it.
few Lego stop motions as a kid. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world I could do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have a question from YouTube. I have a couple.
Sure.
So Carson Thurman wants to know, why was Clarence canceled?
Did you say
I don't
something?
know.
Yeah,
He was Clarence himself.
because he taped over that video.
I didn't mean it in that way. I didn't know that was offensive. I'm sorry. I'm just a kid.
Clarence, you can't just tape for videos.
I didn't know that it was on the video was important. I just honestly thought it was just some kind of random videotape. I don't know. No, but why was the show canceled? Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm sure like the bad press stuff we got early on didn't help. There's like a big ad campaign that got pulled. I think the show was successful in spite of that, and like kept going as long as it did in spite of that, and like probably would have been cut that early on otherwise, and like did really well just because like everyone on the show working on it really loved it, and it like ratings wise was doing well. But I think also too with kid stuff too, like after a while they just they want to make new shows for new groups of kids. Like they kind of outgrow the shows and
Except SpongeBob, which is
Yeah.
eternal.
right, yeah. Unless it's like a huge success like that, then it'll go on forever. But yeah, I don't know. We never got like any official real reason. I mean, but it was kind of like a good and bad. I mean, it was sad, but it was also like I felt like we had done so much with the world and the characters that we kind of did everything we wanted to, and it was like a good ending point for everybody. Like I always think like I love shows that like end after like 2-3 seasons and then they never get to that point where it's like really stale, you know?
Yeah, that tends to be the ideal is like 2 or 3 seasons.
Right. It's like that Ricky Gervais like 2 seasons and a special like kind of thing where it's like I don't know. I like that about Clarence is that it's just sort of
Well, you never
we
said
didn't get dragged out to like 12 seasons where we're like I don't know what to do with this anymore, you know.
you could have sent Clarence to space.
Yeah.
Seriously, probably would have gotten to that point.
You could have like Jeff say, Clarence, look, it's our special guest star, Elon Musk.
Oh boy. What's that NFT?
Clarence, it's all stored on the blockchain. You gotta check this out.
I imagine an episode of my mind where they go on a field trip to like NASA, and Clarence, Sumo, and Jeff just like somehow get behind everything into a rocket ship or just launch into space, and this is like 5 episodes of them in space.
You know what? I feel like that could be
There you
good.
go.
I think you could actually have done that, and they just like I don't know. They go to like an alien planet, and it's just like so far fetched that it like circles around to just being funny.
I don't know. Could have been.
Yeah. But it's you had a good run. I'm
Mhm.
there's so many great episodes that you could watch right now on HBO Max.
There you
Yep.
go. Check them out.
Did you have any more YouTube comments, by the way?
Oh, yeah. Another one from Kumatora Loquisi. I don't know how to pronounce that exactly. Asked, which character do you like to voice the most?
Yeah, I like doing Balance a lot. That was really fun. Just
I guess
because it was an
this could
opportunity
also
to do.
include just any other shows you've been into. If you want.
Yeah. I don't know. Let me think. There's a character I do on 12 Forever, which is like kind of like the almost like King Candy, like Alice in Wonderland type voice of like, oh, hello, how are you doing today? Like that kind of voice. Like I
Yeah.
like doing that voice a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah, Mavis, Clarence. I don't know. I like them all.
Yeah. There's a lot of
Now, which one
great
do you
voices.
hate the most?
Yeah. Just the word.
Anything that's just my normal voice, it cringes me out to listen to my voice.
What's the
So if I'm
closest? Does that ever happen in like the show?
there's a
in Clarence?
character on 12 Forever that's just me, just my
Okay.
normal voice. I think it's like a shark or something. I forget.
Well, you're not gonna have a fun time listening back to this one, I guess.
I hate listening to myself too so much. I hate watching the show and like, oh, do I sound like that?
Yeah, I get that too.
Oh, I found the shark.
Let's get the shark on the screen. Um,
Oh,
what else?
so speaking of like phone calls, I can't remember where I read this, but I think I read something on your website that said that you did prank calls.
Yeah, when I was at CalArts, I used to do prank calls and like make my friends laugh in the dorms. Uh, and yeah, like I would do. I don't know what would I do. I would just do like weird like I feel like if I got spam calls, like telemarketing, I would try to like keep them on the line as long as I could, but like act like I really didn't understand what they were trying to sell me or something like that.
Yeah. Do prank calls even work anymore? Because like, people don't answer their phone,
I
right?
don't ever
No,
know.
yeah. How could you even do that anymore, right?
Nah, most of the callers are not robotic. It's a lost craft.
I feel like it's okay to prank call with people who are trying to call you and sell you stuff and waste your time, but
Right. You came in my house.
seems a little mean to do to like strangers that are just trying to go about their lives.
Yeah. Can't remember, but I remember reading from a zine about like a guy who used to do prank calls, but like instead of like being more mean spirited, he tried to see how long he could keep the people on the line by like listening to what they have to say.
I think
It's like
Clarence would do
reverse
that.
pranks.
Stay on the phone.
Yeah,
That's
there's
an
one where they
episode.
do
Yeah.
pranks, right? Yeah. And then he ends up meeting a friend.
Yeah.
And that was another thing where we're like, is this bad? Like, we don't want kids to meet strangers on the internet or whatever. But then we had to make it really clear that it was like, she's another kid and the moms like talk to each other and they're aware of each other. Like we tried to make it feel as safe as we could.
That's like a really sweet episode, I think.
Yeah, I like that one a lot.
I think it probably connects a lot to like people. I think nowadays, like, I guess the equivalent's like internet friends. So, and that was something I could really relate to on that level, because, and just like them meeting for the first time, because I've actually experienced that. And that's really like, I don't know. I really like how it is depicted.
I kind of like a recurring theme throughout the show is Clarence is just kind of generally friends with everyone. I think one of my favorite examples is the Thanksgiving episode where he just kind of brings two of his random classmates along.
Right, yeah. I think that was something we talked about a lot early on too, where it's like when you're a kid, I mean, I don't know if this is still true now, but at least like for us growing up, it's like you're kind of just friends with whoever's in your class or whoever's in your neighborhood or around you or whatever. And so I think that was part of that idea of just like Clarence is so friendly and he'll just be friends with whoever is around. And he also like doesn't understand when like Belson doesn't like him or whatever. Like he's like, no, this is my friend, and this person wants me to be here, and they want my help.
Yes. That's my giant floor sandwich.
Exactly.
I
wanted.
Oh god.
I was gonna ask about like I don't know, because there's a lot of we talked about like voice actors. There's a lot of great voice actors. Like I guess do you have like a favorite like regular voice? I mean like we
In
talked
terms
about
of the
Tom.
actors on the show,
Yeah, I guess like there's Tom Kenny and like John
yeah, Tom
DiMaggio would show up
Kenny,
sometimes.
Sean Gimbroni,
Uh-huh.
Katie Crown, um, yeah, Eric Edelstein, who does Chad, he's awesome. Everyone, I mean, yeah, Roger Craig Smith, everyone was really great. It was like it felt like a real cast, like a sitcom or something. Like everyone recorded together, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was super fun.
Yeah, I just feel like it must have. If I was like on Clarence, I think it would have been great. Like, I really like Tom Kenny.
He was great. Yeah, he's such a pro. He's so funny. He's like really, really great. I mean,
Yeah,
especially I came in with like not a lot of experience with voice stuff, and I learned a lot just from being around him and watching him. And nicest person.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
yeah, yeah.
He's been around a lot, even from like that weird basement for elf bowling.
Oh my god, you know Elf Bowling, Spencer.
I don't think so.
Oh, that's just we're just talking about Tom Kenny. That was like a movie that he was in. It's like a really weird like early 2000s CGI Christmas movie.
It's called
Um,
Elf Bowling.
Yeah.
yeah, it's based
on like
on
It's
phone
a
game.
movie.
Yeah.
yeah, it's
You-
based on a game.
Yeah, you might need to add
Oh.
the word movie. You're searching it because you might see a lot of the game. But there's a movie based off it, and Tom Kenny plays iconic villain Dingle Kringle in it.
Oh.
And Deep one time like asked. I see. You should probably just tell the story because you were there.
Yeah, because I was at it was like a convention. It wasn't Comic Con. It was somewhere in like I forgot exactly where, but I asked Tom Kenny like about like Elf Bowling, and he just told me that they like recorded it at some guy's house. And he said it was really shady.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
there's probably a lot of stuff, like, especially if you're someone as like prolific as him, that you're like, yeah, I just go out every day and record stuff, and I don't know what half of it is gonna be. Like, what's that really weird Christmas movie that has like Luke Skywalker in it and
Rhapsody
stuff?
Street Kids.
Yeah, is it like along those kind of lines? The thing you're talking about?
Yeah. I would say it's slightly higher quality, but it is along that line.
Got
yeah,
it. Yeah, I've seen that one.
A Christmas.
Yeah, exactly.
everyone, be sure to watch Rhapsody Street Kids.
Christmas. Yeah, it's my new thing I'm plugging.
My favorite
Yeah.
part about that movie.
I'm not in it, but
My favorite part of the movie is the ending where he just goes, "Shut that door."
Yeah.
Christmas.
Ah,
Uh,
anything else?
Somebody in chat was asking, maybe we'll move on to like kind of more just general questions after this. You were talking about a pulled ad campaign anymore earlier. Is that something you can talk about, or?
I don't really want to go into it.
That's
They just Google around. They'll figure it out.
Okay, that's fine. I guess now we've talked plenty about Clarence stuff you worked on. For the last like 10 or 20 minutes, we tend to do just general questions. So,
Sure.
if anyone in chat has any general questions, if you want to ask our
Like, what's your favorite food, Spencer Rothbell? I've always wondered what kind of food Spencer Rothbell from Clarence likes.
Oh my gosh, I love everything. I like it all.
That's a good answer.
Pizza,
coffee,
noodles,
Cheetos, chicken.
anything. Give me all the food.
Does Clarence have a favorite food? Was that ever decided?
Oh man,
like-
does he?
I feel like
I think his favorite color was brown, right? He had like a brown birthday.
Right.
Brown themed birthday.
I
I
think
don't
there's
know.
a lot
Does
of.
he have a favorite food?
I don't know. I feel like there's a lot
Rough
of
Riders
spaghetti in the
chicken?
show.
Spaghetti?
Yeah,
I feel like
don't
that's a
know
good kid food.
I love spaghetti even now, so I relate to Clarence.
That's a good
Maybe
parent
like
food.
SpaghettiOs. My mom lets me have SpaghettiOs one time. It was really actually good, actually. Pretty good.
Clarence having a brown themed birthday party reminds me of this thing that happened recently
Chicken nuggets.
where somebody had a birthday party for their kid and it was entirely themed around the enemy Pokey from Mario Bros.
That's funny.
Like the
That's very
cactus.
sweet.
Yeah, like the one like cactus enemy.
That's pretty good.
I feel like Clarence would be really into like purple Heinz ketchup.
Look at that ketchup, Mom. Can we buy this? Yeah, but it's actually because it's purple. Did you see? She'd be like, Clarence, no, I'm not buying you that. It's too expensive. Yeah, but I heard that you said that we could. No, I didn't. I didn't say that, Clarence. No, we're not. Put it back. Don't take it out of the cart. Yeah, but please.
It's pretty good.
Someone in chat wants to know: are there any cartoons in particular that influenced you as a kid?
Yeah, I mean, well, as a kid, I mean, I watched so much like Fleischer, like Betty Boop stuff, and I'd have like VHS tapes of that. Just all those like really bunk like 100 greatest cartoons, like all the like royalty free. Like I would
Right.
watch those. I love Pee Wee's Playhouse, and they would show cartoons a lot on that. So those ones. What else? I don't know. I love all the cartoons. I love The Simpsons and
Mhm.
Beavis and Butthead, King of the Hill, Ren and Stimpy, all that stuff.
You had that Hank Hill like voice.
Yeah, Mike
on
Judge.
the show.
Yeah, we wanted to get actual Mike Judge, but it didn't work out.
That was a good enough impression, I think.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
just had someone do an impression.
Here's a good one. What's everyone's favorite obscure cartoon?
Obscure.
Peppa Mikey.
Sure.
Clarence.
Yeah, me too, Clarence.
I do love Clarence. It's not obscure. It's famous. It's worldwide renowned.
Oh, I got one. It's called Komaneko the Curious Cat. It's a stop motion movie. Hold on, I'll find it. I'll put it in the chat
Yes.
on the Twitch chat.
What's it about?
Might be about a cat.
It's about a curious cat.
I heard it might be about a curious cat.
But there's
It's
like
so Garfield.
it's like a stop motion movie about a cat, and it's very cute. And all right, here's a screenshot from it at least.
Oh yeah, I can
Yeah.
post that on
I
the screen.
was trying to think of obscure, so this is pretty obscure.
I feel like I should have a good answer to this because me and Seat both like observe so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I put the IMDb link in the Twitch chat.
Good idea.
It's real cute. If you haven't seen it, check it out.
I recognize
Very charming.
this. I guess mine would be Tiny Planets.
Tiny
Wait, what?
Planets.
It's this old CG cartoon by the Jim Henson Company about like these two alien creatures going from like planet to planet. And I watched it all the time when I was a kid.
Gotta put it on my list.
It's for like babies, don't worry about it.
Have you seen the Rilakuma stop motion Netflix show?
I haven't seen it, but I know about it.
It's so good. It's so good. I love it so much. I don't think that's obscure, but I think it's underrated. I wish more people knew about it and watched it because it's like kind of adult in this weird way. Like the main character is like this adult woman who's like sort of having like a midlife crisis or something. I don't know. Like it's very like tonally unique, and I really like it a lot. I wish that they were making more. I feel like they're not, but going to. But I think it's great. Anyway, that's what I'm into.
I
can't think of a single thing.
I feel like you should have an answer for this, Seep. You watch so much cartoons, like more than anyone I know.
That's the problem. I've watched so many of them. I can't just like think of one off the top of my head. I can't think of what was the last cartoon I watched. It was Clarence, but I can't say Clarence. So, shoot. I bet someone in the chat tell me what my favorite obscure cartoon is. Someone's gonna know.
You, me, and Corrode Cryptic are the only three people who watch Central Park.
Is that obscure? I guess maybe. It's
Oh,
it's
I'm
not like
also wrong.
underground or
It
anything.
is coming back, so don't listen to me.
Oh,
All right.
Rila Kuma. I just saw something pop up as I was searching for it.
All right. Seep's favorite cartoons, according to chat, are Pet Alien, Hoppy Kids, Roly Poly Oly, Robot Jones, Duncanville, The Great North, and Duncanville again.
All right.
Awesome.
Those
One
are
of those is obscure,
those are
probably.
oh, go on.
The only obscure thing I could think of that comes to mind is this one short that popped up in Cartoon Network about a cactus and some farmer stuck in the middle of the desert trying to get water. And like
that-
he keeps
Was that a Michael Cera movie?
no. No, it was a cartoon.
Okay.
It popped up in Cartoon Network years ago, I remember.
Do you know what it's called?
No.
Was it like
It's
one
been
of the
so
like
long.
cartoon?
Like kind of like
Probably.
a like a Nacho Bear situation.
Is it called
Oh my
Prickles the
God.
Cactus?
I think so, maybe.
I just googled it and I found a wiki. Is
Oh my
it a
God.
cactus or a cat?
Cactus.
Yeah, it's got to be this. Prickles the Cactus.
I forgot about Nacho Bear and like those
No,
shorts.
not that one.
Not
Oh,
this
it's not that? Ah, dang.
No, it was no, yeah, that's it. That's the one.
It's Prickles the
All right.
Cactus.
Yeah,
Oh.
I thought she had like a pink flower. No, that's her.
I think Nacho
All
Bear
right.
will be in the upcoming Warner Bros. Fighting game. He's gonna be like you know how Smash Bros. Always has like one really obscure character like Rob the Robot or Mr. Game Watch. I think Nacho Bear will be that.
Okay.
I wish Clarence was in it. Put Clarence
I
in
wish
it.
so bad. We
Someone
wanted
start a
Clarence.
petition.
We wanted Clarence to be in Space Jam 2 so bad.
That would have been funny.
we want him to
It
be
might
on
as
the
well
team.
have been. No one cares.
Yeah.
I feel like no one cares about Clarence enough.
No.
There's got to
Come
be.
on.
There's got to be more famous properties that would show up
Oh,
first.
they put like obscure Hanna-Barbera characters in that movie no one cares about ever. They could have put Clarence in it.
Clarence could have at least been in like a crowd shot or something.
It could have been a CGI Clarence doing procedural like background animations.
Yeah, there you
No,
go.
I think Clarence should have like they need like, oh, we're down one player, we need another player, and then Clarence shows up.
Right.
He's got a basketball get up.
Is there room for one more?
Oh my God, is that Clarence from the Clarence world?
You're expecting someone else?
I think
We gotta
it would be
get
a
Clarence
really-
from the Clarence world on the court as fast as possible.
Oh my gosh, you guys are so funny. He would just like ruin the game. I feel like everything would come to a screeching halt when he would just be just talking about how funny he thought they all were for like a long time.
I feel like you'll at least get 1 point by somehow glitching.
Right.
He'd like trip over Daffy Duck and like the ball would just fly in.
He'd like trip over,
and then there's
trip over and someone and like break his arm or something. He'd just be the most useless character like to help.
I think there'd be an emotional scene where like they're like breaking and they're in like the locker room, and then like someone gets like really like LeBron like starts yelling at Clarence and getting mad at him, and then he gets sad and he walks away, and there's like a sad montage where the characters are broken up. I think that should happen.
Could have been.
In Space Jam 2. I hope that happens.
I feel like we spent about 2 months talking about our ideas for Clarence in Space Jam 2 at one point.
Space Jam 3.
That could happen.
That's what we have.
Space Jam 2 2.
Yeah.
That Multiverses is basically Space Jam 3. You know, Clarence will have his day.
Right.
Yeah.
We all got to rally for
Definitely.
it. We all got to like at Warner Bros on Twitter, let them know that we want Clarence in.
I mean, like, were Finn and Jake in Space Jam?
They weren't, no.
Because, like, I feel like if anyone's gonna be, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like you would more likely see them first, right?
The only cartoon guys in that movie were Rick and Morty, and then like a bunch of Hanna-Barbera characters. And I think the Animaniacs were in the background at one point too.
Oh, really? That's funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What kind of moveset would Clarence have? Is what I want to know.
What does that mean?
Like in like a fighting game, like if he was
Oh,
in
I
the
see.
Warner Brothers fighting game.
I feel like he would like take something weird out of his pocket and like throw it at someone and to like freak them out and like temporarily like disable them from fighting.
Right.
Hey, do
Maybe
you
he
want to
throws
see
like
my?
mud.
He has like a Ziploc baggie of like old hair clippings or something. Like
Oh god.
these are from my mom's work. Actually it's a bunch of hair. You want to see? And then the opponent would just like freeze for a bit and like look disgusted.
I think Jake the dog would want to look though. I think he'd be like, "Oh yeah, show me."
Oh yeah, hair, little dude.
why is Jake the dog a surfer and yours? Oh, little dude.
I know he says like dude and stuff. That's like a California lingo show. Come on, I'm trying.
Yes.
I can't do a
They're
John
not in
DiMaggio voice.
California.
Nobody sounds like him.
No,
What?
come on.
Tanner does.
Yeah, do your best vendor impression right now, Seep.
Oh my god. No, last time we did that, people got so mad that it's like someone else had to like post on Twitter like here's like an actual good Bender voice. That's what happened last time we did Bender on this show.
Like that this was an incident you had to describe like there was a crisis.
It was. I was so hey Fry, hey meat bread. No, that's
Not
so
gonna lie,
bad.
you kind of sound like an old man, like an alternate voice for Farnsworth.
You kind
I
of
mean,
sound
that's what
kinda
Bender was, right? He was like an alternate voice for Farnsworth at first.
That's true, yeah. John DiMaggio auditioned for Farnsworth when he did that show.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Hey, meatbag, let's go to the Clarence town.
Yours sounds so strange. Like that.
I mean,
Star
he
Wars
was
bug.
on the show. He's played Sumo's dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you should have had like Bender show up, like, and he like he travels back in time, maybe, and then like he hangs out with Chad for a day, and then I'm trying to make a joke about the Simpsons crossover, but I don't remember what happened. I don't remember what else. There was like Bart Gremlins. You could have like Clarence Gremlins mixed with like
There you go.
radioactive DNA.
I remember that crossover because it's weirdly dire. I feel like half the Futurama cast dies in it.
Oh, the Futurama one. I thought you were
Yeah.
talking about the Family Guy one for a second.
Oh no.
It's like the news lady dies. I think Scruffy dies.
Oh no.
No, not Scruffy.
I feel like Scruffy dies a few times.
Not Lenny. You should have done that joke, but with Scruffy.
It's one of my
Yeah.
favorite jokes
Callback.
on that entire show. It's just, kids, turn off the TV. I have some bad news about Lenny.
And she just has like a
Oh.
picture of Lenny with like loving eyes.
Yeah. Oh.
I don't think Scruffy will look at someone lovingly.
What about his bucket? Remember when?
Oh yeah. He had like a love story with his bucket.
I did not
It's a
come here to be contradicted.
I'm sorry. When you're wrong, Rose. I'm sorry.
That's one for the board.
Didn't you got to watch like Sean Gambone like grow up, right? Did you get to see that?
Yeah,
Oh.
basically. I mean, he was pretty young when he started on Clarence, so
He's like my age. I'm as old as him. So just picture that.
Yeah, you could have been
How old is he?
Ron.
He's 22.
okay, I'm 31, so I was 23 when I started on
Man,
Clarence.
you
Wow.
kind of grew up.
23, 24. But yeah, he was a little baby. Now he's a grown man.
You are
He
Rugrats
can go,
all
he can go
grown
get a
up.
beer. There you go.
All right, we're gonna probably start wrapping it up now because we tend to close at the 2-hour mark. But if anyone has one last silly, goofy, wonderful, outrageous, little silly, wacky question they want to ask, now's the time to do it. Ooh.
But I want to make sure everyone knows. Our lawyer said you're not allowed to ask about the hot dog suit.
Okay.
Yeah. Nobody asked about the hot dog suit.
Not
not allowed.
explaining, penis
Illegal.
slamming.
Don't say that, Ryan. Don't say that. It's disgusting.
Tell about the car door.
No.
Wait,
No.
We don't live in isolation.
We're
Talking
not
about that.
talking.
Talking about that car door.
No, we're not. No, we're
I'm
not. We're
glad
not bringing that
Professor
up on
knows
the
about the car door and not Arlo.
show.
Oh, okay.
That's we can't talk about. That's like inappropriate
Say
for
about
this
that
show.
TikTok meme.
No, This is nothing. There's nothing. There's nothing to do with. We're not. This is not a real. Ryan, stop the stream right now.
No,
Turn it off.
no, there was an old thing we were doing. We were making jokes about the Daffy Duck slamming his thing in the car door, and Seep got really mad and said, "Someday we're gonna have Spencer Rothbell, voice of Clarence, on the show, and you got to explain to him what that is."
Oh, did you guys come up with that meme?
No.
No.
Oh.
We were just
Actually,
you know.
yes, we did that just so
No,
it can
we didn't!
build up
The
to this.
origin. The origin.
I thought I had something. I thought we were talking. No, wait, it was a Daffy Duck.
Yeah, like we were. They kept talking about it, and I was like, it was disgusting. I'm sorry, it was disgusting.
All right. Now I remember.
He kept talking about it, like stretching. Oh no, why am I? Okay, stop. See, that's why we have to stop the show. I could just move away. Someone ask something else. Someone ask something else.
Here's a good one to end this. Here's a good final question, I think. Spencer, do you consider Fruit Gushers candy?
Yeah, that's a candy.
I disagree.
What?
Oh.
I think it's a fruit snack, which is different from a candy to me.
I guess I also consider fruit snacks to be candy.
Oh.
In general.
Oh.
It's a candy that's disguised as a healthy snack.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, like those granola bars with like chocolate all over them that are like, that's just a candy bar.
Right.
Anyway, this is turning into like some weird Seinfeld rant or something. Like,
they call it granola. They say it's healthy.
who are they fooling with this?
Harry, I ate the granola. I'm healthier now.
No, it's not granola. It's a candy. Oh, what do you mean it's a candy? It's not a candy, Jerry.
There's no fruit in there.
It's a snack.
Call the fruit snack. That's not fruit.
Oh.
All right, we'll start wrapping up now. Spencer, do you got any things you want to promote or say before we end tonight?
Promote me. Give me a job.
Yeah.
I need a job. I like to write things. I'll write on your show. It'll be fun. Hire me. No, I don't know. Victor Valentino is on TV. Watch that. I wrote on that.
Yeah.
You did. I heard.
Download HBO Max buy HBO Max, binge the whole series. Watch Clarence.
Yeah, Clarence. The whole series of Clarence is on there.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, you might like it, even if you think you won't. Don't.
If you don't like
believe
it,
what you saw in the ads.
Let me. You get to meet Percy.
Yeah. Percy's gonna deal with you if you don't like it.
No.
I'll get you.
I'll get you for not streaming Clarence on HBO Max.
Can we put? I think we should do a callback and put Percy back into the wind tunnel.
Why did we do that?
I forgot, but Seep did something where like that sounded like Percy was like spinning around some sort of gravity room.
Oh, it's
funny.
Like, that's awful. Why did I just do that? I'm glad the show's about to turn off.
It's a deep cut, but I think it's a good one to bring back.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, everyone who tuned in tonight. I'm gonna click the stop stream button. Everyone say goodbye.
Bye. Thanks for having me.
Bye. Thanks for coming on, Spencer Rothbell. Yay.
They're fired.